Tortoise recording.
It is.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Cafe Expresso, the space where we can share our creative expression. I'm so happy to be presenting these two fairy tales to you tonight from my upcoming, sometime in the future book, Fairy Tales Told Metaphysically. It's interesting how this came about. I was browsing in a bookstore, and you know how a book just kind of jumps off the shelf at you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this book was politically correct fairy tales. And I immediately just had this knowing that I could write a book interpreting New Thought in that way. So tonight what we're going to do is read the Three Little Pigs and Jack and the Beanstalk, and in between, Lisa is going to perform a song that she wrote from a poem that one of our congregants, Minnie, wrote. But I would like to introduce the cast to you at this point. So for in the Three Little Pigs, Reverend Rainbow is Parker Pig.
How do you?
Connie Adcock is Peyton Pig, and Dawn is Petey Pig, and the big bad wolf is Brett Youngblood.
Hello.
And I will introduce the other cast when we get to that. So I think you all know that I'm Reverend Gena. I didn't say that, but now you have it. Okay, well, without further ado, Metaphysically Told Three Little Pigs. Once upon a time, there were three little pigs who we'll call Parker, Peyton, and Petey. They left their family of origin to find their destiny. As they left, their parents warned them to be aware of the big bad wolf, instilling a consciousness of fear. They knew they would need homes, and they each decided how to go about this. Petey, the laziest little pig, decided he'd just build a straw hut.
It will only take a day, and then I can just hang out.
He found a big bundle of straw, which he just leaned against some thin poles.
Done.
He just wanted to enjoy life and immediate gratification. His spiritual home was also weak. He sometimes thought about the meaning of life, and sometimes he went to a class on how to attract money. The only time he said prayer was when he was in deep conditions. He often wondered why others seemed to succeed when he didn't. Then he shrugged it off.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles. Ooh, cookies.
And he went off to find some. Not quite so lazy, Peyton went in search of bits of wood. In 2 days, he had nailed them together to make a small wooden shack.
Done.
Likewise, his spiritual home was a bit sturdier, as he occasionally took a class on spiritual principles. Sometimes he prayed, but his prayers tended to be pleading.
Oh God, please, please send me a cute little pig partner.
Parker was the wisest little pig.
It takes patience and work to build a house strong enough to stand up to the wind, rain, and snow.
He drew up a plan and found a large supply of bricks. Likewise, it does take time and commitment to build a spiritual home. Parker met with like-minded people in services and classes to strengthen the structure of his spiritual abode. He had a regular practice of prayer and meditation to stay in contact with a higher power and to see all of life as spiritual unfolding, no matter what the appearance seemed to be. The days went by, and Parker's physical and spiritual house took shape, brick by brick, prayer by prayer. His brothers would visit, chuckling.
Why are you working so hard? There's a new water slide park in the next valley.
No, thanks. I'm enjoying working on my own house.
There's a festival of Muppet movies downtown. I love Miss Piggy.
I'll just wait until I finish my house, thank you.
The other two pigs ran off to catch the next screening. And he finished his house, a strong and quite attractive brick home with 2 bedrooms, a great room, dining room, and a lovely patio. He knew it would have a great resale value. He invited his brothers over for brunch on his patio to celebrate their new lives and homes. Then Petey rushed in crying.
I think I heard the big bad wolf.
Oh no, let's hide.
Wait a minute. Wait just a minute. Why do we always call him the big bad wolf?
Only because he wants to eat us.
That makes him hungry and necessarily bad. He just wants his needs to be met.
And I have a powerful need to stay alive.
Well, I understand that. Perhaps that's a way to get both of our needs met.
On his way home, Petey saw tracks of the wolf circling his home. He rushed inside in alarm. Peeking through the straw, he saw the wolf scowling fiercely. He radiated a powerful condition of anger and hunger.
Out! I'd like to chew the fat. Have a chat with you.
I'm fine where I am.
Replied the little pig in a tiny voice. He wondered where he had put that book of affirmations.
I'll make you come out.
He took a deep breath and blew, and the straw fell down in a heap. Without a foundation of spiritual understanding and practice, at the first notice of fear, our spiritual home can become a shambles. Admiring his own strength, the wolf didn't notice that the little pig had slithered out from under the straw and was dashing away.
Come back!
He chased after Petey, who had run safely to Peyton's house. Petey greeted his brother, shaking like a leaf.
Wolf, he blew down my house, and now he's outside.
This is only illusion. It isn't real.
They stuck their fingers in their ears and shut their eyes tightly.
The wolf can't get us. The wolf can't get us. The wolf can't get us.
Outside, the wolf could hear the little pigs talking. Now anticipating a delicious 2-course meal, he knocked on the door.
I have someone who wants to make an offer on your charming wooden home.
Oh, it would be nice to make some money. And, oh, it's a trick. He blew your house down, and now he's going to destroy mine.
The 2 brothers clutched each other in fear and did their best to hold the door tightly closed. They pleaded with God to rid them of this illusion. But the wolf is a very convincing presence, and with powerful breath and jaws. We must deal with the reality of the world as it is. Just a few begging prayers aren't enough to protect from collapsing in fear in really deep conditions. Then the wolf drew in a big breath, blew out a great blast, and the wooden house collapsed like a pack of cards. Petey and Peyton dashed away to their brother's home. Luckily, Parker had been watching from the window of his home, and he quickly opened the door to his fleeing brothers. This time, the wolf had grave doubts. This house had a much more solid structure, not only of bricks, but of peace and purpose.
Come, my brothers, let us sit here in peace and calm and call upon that power within us that cannot be harmed. That power will also direct us to know what to say and what to do.
Wolf blew and nothing happened. He puffed himself up and blew with all his might, but the house did not budge an inch. The three little pigs watched him, and their fear began to fade. Quite exhausted by his efforts, the wolf decided to try one of his old tricks. He scrambled up a nearby ladder onto the roof. Parker had heard of this ploy in a bedtime story. He knew that fear had a way of finagling into one's inner life and purpose.
Mr. Wolf, I'm calling you. We know you're hungry. If we give you some food, will you leave us alone, please?
The wolf stopped, confused. No one had ever called him Mister.
Mister?
Parker put some food out on the porch, and the smell wafted up to the wolf.
This is probably a trick, but it smells good.
He slid down the roof and gobbled it up.
Mr. Wolf, come back again when you're hungry, and we'll give you food. All you have to do, Mr. Wolf, is ask.
The wolf scratched his head in amazement. Finally, he mumbled,
Thank you.
"The dangers of collapsing in fear were averted. As we make friends with what we fear, despair dissolves. The combination of spiritual resolve with right action did the trick." The three happy pigs danced around the yard singing,
Who's afraid
Afraid of a big
wolf? The big bad wolf.
Bad anything, big bad
Bad
anything. Not us.
Not us.
From that day, Petey and Peyton set to work with a will. In a short time, up went two new brick houses with strong foundations, as they also set to work building a strong spiritual foundation. The wolf did come around every now and then to ask for some food, and they struck up a friendship. As we challenge fearful thoughts, they lose their power over us. Petey concluded,
In the words of our cousin, that's all, folks.
the end of that old story, and now time for a new one. Yay!
And we give ourselves thumbs up. It was so good.
Yes. Okay, thank you. That was cast wonderful. And now, Lisa, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Reverend Gena. That was fantastic. Oh my gosh, you are all such thespians. My goodness, that was fantastic. It cheered my day, that's for sure.
You did say
So,
thespian.
yes.
We accept all kinds.
Well, as some of you already know, I was so impressed by Minnie's poem entitled "We Are One" that I contacted her and asked if she would be interested in collaborating on a song together based on the poem, and she said yes. And so we have completed our song. We've copywritten our song. We sent it to the copyright office last night, and it's entitled "We Are One, comma, We Are Not Alone." And Minnie, you want to unmute for a moment to say hi to everybody?
Hey,
Hi,
everyone.
Hi, Minnie.
Hey, Minnie.
Oh, you're going to love this song. I love it myself.
All right. All right. Well, without further ado, if everyone wants to mute, and I will do this composition by Minerva Galarza and Lisa Clark. Of course, I need to turn on the piano. Hugging from a distance, loving from a distance, loved ones saying goodbye at a distance. It seems that we are all alone, but we are not. We are one. I close my eyes and take that in. We are one. We are one. Hugging from a distance. We are one. Loving from a distance. We are one in this great big world. We are not alone. We are one. Oh, let's stand together. We are one. Take care of each other. We are one in this great big world. We are not alone. Staying home together, respecting one another, being kind to our sisters and brothers. Sometimes we feel so disconnected, but we are not. We are one. I close my eyes and take that in. We are one. We are one. Hugging from a distance. We are one. Loving from a distance. We are one in this great big world. We are not alone. We are one. Oh, let's stand together. We are one. Take care of each other. We are one in this great big world. We are not alone. Now some of us cannot stay home. They are essential workers. They show up for us. Let's stay at home for them. That's the least we can do. Hugging from a distance, loving from a distance, loved ones saying goodbye at a distance. It seems that we're all alone, but we are not. We are one. I close my eyes and take that in. We are one. We are one. Hugging from a distance. We are one. Loving from a distance. We are one in this great big world. We are not alone. Ooh, we are one. Oh, let's stand together. We are one. Take care of each other. We are one in this great big world. We are not alone. We are not alone. We are not alone.
Why doesn't everybody unmute?
Wonderful. Woohoo.
Yes.
Yay, Minnie!
Yay.
Minnie!
Yay, Lisa. Beautiful.
Fabulous.
Gorgeous.
I thought it sounded like something from musical theater.
Mhm.
Yay!
Yeah,
When we
Yeah.
saw
Somebody
Come
could
From
put,
Away, that's what it reminded me of, that feeling,
Rob, you could
especially at
add
the
a
beginning.
dance to it and we could all.
Add a dance?
Yeah.
Dance, yeah. Choreography, they call it
Yeah,
choreography.
you choreograph it, Rob.
Me? I don't think so.
Well, yeah, I was thinking of you.
Lisa, are you going to do a YouTube of it so that we can spread it around the world?
Yes, I got my equipment and I will keep y'all posted on that production.
Oh,
Oh,
we
great.
look forward to it. It deserves, at this moment, it'll be
Yes.
so perfect.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you all for, thank you, Reverend Jenna, for inviting
Oh,
Minnie and
it
me.
was
to-
really
Thank
a
you,
wonderful part of the
Yeah, thank you.
evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I can't wait to see the next play now.
Well, not that we asked her to say that, but
I'm going to mute, so anybody else who's not in the next play, we might want to mute.
okay. Now we're going to go on to Metaphysically Told, Jack and the Beanstalk. And again, let's say our cast: Jack, Brett Youngblood, his mother, Reverend Rainbow,
Hi, y'all.
the beautiful maiden, Connie Adcock, and who are you?
Me, I'm the bean seller.
Oh, the bean seller, right? Yes, and Jeff over here is the giant, and I actually will play the part of Mrs. Giant as well as narrate. Okay, without further ado, as fairy tales start, once upon a time there lived a widow who had an only son named Jack. She was extremely poor, let's say financially challenged. Her times had been hard, or so fear influenced her to believe. Almost all the furniture in the little cottage had been sold to buy food until at last there was nothing left to sell. Only the good cow, Milky White, remained. She gave milk every morning, which they took to market and sold. But one sad day, or a day of opportunity for transformation, Milky White gave no milk. Then things looked bad indeed, or gave the appearance of difficulty. Jack looked at the situation cheerfully, as his nature was an expectancy of good, the main factor in manifesting.
Mother, we must sell Milky White.
Oh, yes, Jack. I'm so sad about it, but there's nothing else to be done. At least, Jack, get a good price for Milky White.
And off he went with Milky White. For a while he went along sadly, but soon recovered his spirits by refocusing his thoughts. When our emotions take a downward turn, we can always open to a higher thought that all is well.
Hey, I may as well ride. I may as well ride as walk.
So instead of leading the cow, he jumped on her back. We don't have to struggle, but let spirit show us an easier way. He went whistling along until he met a man who called out,
Good morning. Where are you going?
Good morning, sir. I'm going to market to sell the cow.
It's lucky I met you. You may save yourself the trouble of going so far.
With that, he put his hand in his pocket.
What do you call these?
Jack thought, seriously? But he knew that would be rude, so he said,
Well, that's pretty easy. They're beans.
Yes, but these are the most wonderful beans. If you plant them, the next morning they'll grow up to the sky. I don't mind exchanging these for your cow.
Jack was so focused on good, he didn't even consider this could be a risk. His intuition immediately urged him to see it as a gift.
Turn.
His acceptance allowed a whole new set of circumstances to unfold. He was so delighted that he ran all the way home to tell his mother of his luck. Unfortunately, she did not see it that way. She was so deeply mired in her story of misfortune, she could not conceive of anything better.
Are you nuts, Jack? You sold Milky White for some beans? Off to bed with you, Jack.
and she threw the beans out the window. So poor Jack went to bed without any supper. Sometimes parents or families impart a consciousness of lack and limitation. When he woke up the next morning, the room was almost dark. Jack ran to the window to see what was going on. The sun was shining brightly, but there was growing a great beanstalk which stretched up to the sky as far as he could see.
I knew it. I'll just see where it leads.
We might be presented with a new life, but we must actually take a step into it. He stepped out of the window onto the beanstalk and began climbing up and walked up until his mother's cottage was a speck below. At last the stalk ended and he found himself in a new country. In the distance, there was a great castle with a road leading up to it. Jack was surprised to find a beautiful maiden suddenly standing beside him.
Good morning, sweet Jack. I have an important message for you. Your father was a gallant knight, but he was slain by the giant who lives in yon castle. When you were just a baby, in order to save you, your mother was obliged to promise never to tell that secret. So, all that the giant has is yours.
And then she disappeared. His real story and identity had been kept secret from him, so he could discover his new self and birthright. As he drew near to the castle, he saw the giant's wife standing at the door.
Ma'am, would you kindly give me some breakfast? I have had nothing to eat since yesterday.
Now the giant's wife, though very big and ugly, had a kind heart. Very well, little man, come in, but you must be quick, for if my husband, the giant, finds you here, he will eat you up, bones and all. That sounded a bit scary, but he thought of his father's bravery as a knight and took courage. So Jack went in and the giant's wife gave him a good breakfast. But before he had finished, there came a terrible knock at the front door, which shook the thick walls of the castle. "Marry me, that is my husband. We must hide you." She lifted Jack up and popped him into the empty kettle. As soon as the giant's wife opened the door, her husband roared out,
Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread.
It seems the giant had serious anger management issues, possibly an occupational hazard for giants. The wife had heard it all before. She told him, "It's only the ox's hide you smell." This seemed to mollify him, so he sat down and ate up the greater part of an ox. When he had finished, he said,
Wife, bring me my money bags.
She brought him 2 bags of gold, and he began to count his money. But so much attention on material wealth clouds the mind. He became sleepy and soon began to snore like the rumbling of thunder. Then Jack boldly crept out, snatched up the 2 bags, and though the giant's dog barked loudly, he made his way down the beanstalk and back to the cottage. Jack and his mother were now in better circumstances. They had plenty to eat, and Jack was able to save Milky White from her scheduled transition. They bought new clothes, not just from the thrice-worn shop, and new furniture and real wood, not just twigs and branches. But one day, Jack grew restless. The way that spirit stirs us to our greater yet to be, he thought that he would like to see how matters were going on up at the giant's castle. So while his mother was away at market, he climbed up until he got to the top of the beanstalk again. The giantess was again standing at the door, but she did not know Jack as he was dressed more finely.
If you please, ma'am, would you give me some breakfast?
Run away or my husband will eat you up. The last boy who came here stole 2 bags of gold. But Jack simply radiated love and kindness to her. And since the giantess had a kind heart, she allowed him to come into the kitchen and she made him a breakfast to last a week. Soon there was a great rumbling like thunder, and the giantess had only time to bundle Jack into the oven before the giant came in. He roared,
Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread.
The wife thought, can you give it a break? She told him he was mistaken, and after breakfasting off a roasted bullock, he called out,
Wife, bring the little brown hen.
wife, bring this, wife, bring that. She brought in a little brown hen. With his usual grace, he bellowed,
Lay,
and the hen at once laid a golden egg.
lay,
And she laid another golden egg.
and I say lay.
And she laid a third golden egg.
That'll do for today.
He stretched himself out to sleep. As soon as he began to snore, Jack crept out of the oven, tiptoed to the table, snatched up the little brown hen, and made a dash for the door. But before the giant was quite awake, Jack had run from the castle and climbed quickly down the beanstalk and got safely home to his cottage. The little brown hen laid so many golden eggs that Jack and his mother now had more money than they could spend. A demonstration of being connected to an unlimited source, always available. They hired an accountant, an investment advisor, and bought property. Jack's mother started taking art and dancing lessons. Jack took fencing lessons to prepare him for night school, that is, to become a knight. But Jack was thinking again about the beanstalk, so one day he crept out the window again and climbed up until he reached the top. This time he crept to the back of the castle, and when the giant's wife went out, he slipped into the kitchen and hid himself in the oven. In came the giant, roaring louder than ever.
Fee, fi, fo, fum.
We know. After grumbling a great deal, the giant sat down to breakfast. When he finished, he called out,
Wife, bring me the golden harp.
She brought in the golden harp and placed it on the table.
Sing.
And the harp began to sing the most beautiful songs ever heard, and soon the giant fell fast asleep. And Jack crept out of the oven, and going up on tiptoe to the table, he seized the golden harp. For in addition to wealth, for our greater well-being, we need beauty for our soul and harmony for our spirit. The giant woke up to see Jack running out the kitchen door with a fearful roar. He seized his oak tree club and dashed after Jack, who ran faster than he'd ever run before. Brandishing his club and taking great strides, the giant gained on Jack at every instant. But when Jack saw him coming, he called out,
Mother, bring me an axe.
I'm coming.
He hurried out with a chopper, and Jack had no sooner reached the ground than he cut the beanstalk in two. Down came the giant with a terrible crash, and that was the end of him. What became of the giantess and the castle, no one knows. But Jack and his mother grew very rich.
We are so blessed.
Yes, we are. We don't ever have to worry about money again.
Amen.
And they lived happily ever after. We too are heirs to the kingdom. As we claim our birthright, we too live happily ever after. The end.
I don't know whether the cast is supposed to clap, but it was so good.
It was.
That was
Wonderful
Thank you to
writing.
everybody.
And thank you to the script writer.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, thank you for the fine
Yay.
direction.
Narrator, actress extraordinaire.
Thank you.
excellent.
Very, very clever. Very clever. I liked it.
Beautifully directed, written, and acted. And
Yeah.
audience, is that a word? Beautifully audienced.
Yeah.
It was very well audienced.
Up, everybody.
Yay.
It was beautiful.
Was that Minnie?
Great. Yes,
That
that was
was
wonderful.
Teresa.
I loved it. This
Great.
is Minnie. It was great.
Thank you.
Agreed.
It was fun. And look for the book sometime in the next year.
Yeah.
Will it be
Okay.
illustrated?
I reserve one right now.
Yeah.
Will your book be illustrated?
Well, it'll start as an ebook, which is hard to illustrate too much, but it will have a cover and a couple of illustrations. And then as it grows into a physical book, we'll have lots of illustrations.
Mhm. Or maybe it could even be a comic,
Oh, a cartoon.
Graphic.
A cartoon.
graphic novel, yes.
Graphic novel.
Well, not too graphic, but
No, no.
What a great idea. That'll enter it into another generation of metaphysical people, young people that would love it. That's a
Yeah.
great idea.
And it could also be,
About it.
it could be an animated cartoon. You know, I've heard that that's the one part of the industry, entertainment, that is on fire with the pandemic. And those voiceover people and those animators, they're working like crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, because they can't do any physical production.
Well,
Yeah.
they could
Can't
yeah,
go into
just be in person.
studios.
But also to market it to the family.
The
Because-
families.
Yeah, for family.
yeah.
Right.
Everybody can listen to it and get their understanding and talk about it. So
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it needs to necessarily be only New Thought people.
oh no.
no.
No,
No.
it's a
No,
good-
that's how you get
good
the
universal
ideas
message.
out there. It's be sneaky.
Every, everybody wants to inherit the kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
subliminal science of mind.
Uh-huh.
Mary, we know, what's the guy, the practitioner that was here in Austin? I can't think of his name. They moved to John.
John William Lopez.
Yeah.
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 He was an animator for Walt Disney Company.
Wow.
He's
And,
still in Atlanta.
No.
No, he's moved.
Yeah, he's in
He's down south of Tucson.
yeah,
Oh, Mary's got it.
Arizona.
Now, that's
Anyway.
a name from the past.
Arizona, yeah. Yeah, that's his stripper name.
Guys,
I'm sorry, Chippendale.
Yeah.
Rob is home at
Yes.
everybody, I'm going to put myself, stop my video so I can go plug in because I'm at 4% on my computer. I'll be right back.
I
Okay.
should probably stop the recording, yes?
Yes.
Probably,
Or
especially with
Definitely.
jokes like that.
Before we start the stripping.
I think we're going to be nominated